Yes, Hamzambo family, welcome to the Swahili classes for the weekend. I do hope that you're doing wonderful and that you all are continuing with your year just as fine. I do understand that at this particular time of the year, people are normally trying to cover whatever base that they have not touched during the year, and that you're trying to really just achieve that your targets that you had set out for the year, and you still have a few more days left in 2025. And I do hope that you are also continuing and are doing whatever you do with utmost zeal and utmost positivity. So, welcome to this particular platform. I do hope that you are able to learn Swahili language with us. And you are always free to ask a question. Yesterday we did have a wonderful class, and today we are also looking forward to the same. In Swahili, we normally do say karibu sana, and karibu simply is for much welcome. So if someone tells you karibu, it means that you are welcome, and therefore I will actually also tell you the same, karibu sana. If someone says karibu sana, they are simply telling you you are very, very much welcome. My name is Spikes. In Swahili, if you're trying to introduce yourself, you would say jina langu ni Spikes. Jina simply for a name. So therefore, if someone tells you jina langu ni Spikes, then you are able to understand that they are talking about themselves. Or I would point to myself and say, ni naitwa Spikes. Ni naitwa Spikes, the N-I. Inaitwa Spikes. That would be I am known as Spikes. I am known as Spikes. And that is simply how you get to introduce yourself. So welcome to class. On this particular platform, we get to engage and we ask questions. So if you do want to ask any question, you're simply welcome to do so. You can ask a question. And a question in Swahili is referred to as swali. So if someone gives you the opportunity to ask a question, they would say, nipe nafasi ya kuuliza swali. That would be, give me an opportunity to ask a question. Nipe nafasi ya kuuliza swali is simply, give me an opportunity to ask a question. Yesterday we were learning and we did say, that if someone says nipe simply means give me. Nipe, N-I-P-E, simply means give me. It's a phrase, it means give me. So if someone says nipe nafasi, they are asking for an opportunity, because nafasi is an opportunity. Nafasi is simply an opportunity, and also an opportunity or a chance. Opportunity for anyone. If someone says nipe nafasi, it simply means they're asking for an opportunity. But today we hope to go a little bit much further in terms of learning our Swahili. We did learn yesterday and the other day before that when we're talking about the days of the week, we do have different ways in terms of which we refer to those particular days of the week. If you're talking about Sunday, for example, today is on a Sunday, we would say Jumapili. And if you're talking about Monday, you would actually say Jumatatu for Monday. If you're talking about Tuesday, you would say Jumanne for Tuesday. If you're talking about a Wednesday, you would say Jumatano for Wednesday. If you're talking about a Thursday, we normally do say Alhamisi for Thursday. For example, if you're talking about the past week and we are talking about wiki iliyopita, pita means to pass, P-I-T-A means to pass. So if someone says wiki iliyopita, it means the past week. If someone says wiki ijayo, it means the coming week. Ijayo means the upcoming week. So therefore, if you're talking about different days of the week, we would actually say Jumapili iliyopita, that is for last Sunday. Last Sunday we did have a class, and if you're talking about that particular class, you would say Jumapili iliyopita. Also, we do have what we refer to as Leo, which sounds pretty much and it's spelled pretty much like the star sign Leo, but in Swahili we do say it Leo for Leo. Leo is for today. Leo simply points to today for Leo. So that is for today, we do say Leo. If anyone was to tell you that tuko na mkutano leo, it means that we have a meeting today. Yesterday we did also learn that we do have two very important syllables and one very important vowel. We do say the syllable ni points to self. So if we did say niko na mkutano, niko means I have. Niko na is a phrase, it means I have. But niko on its own, N-I-K-O, that would mean I am. I am at. Niko would mean I am at. Niko would mean I am at. For example, if anyone would tell you their particular direction and then they said niko nyumbani, if they said niko nyumbani, niko nyumbani, nyumbani simply means home. So therefore, if anyone wants to say niko nyumbani, it means they are at home. I am at home. The ni points to self, and then the ko would be where they are at. But if someone wants to say niko na, it means I am with or I am. I am with or I am. So if someone says niko na njaa means I am hungry. Njaa means hunger. Njaa means hunger. So if someone did say niko na njaa, it means that they are hungry. So the most obvious sentence after that is niko na njaa, tafadhali nipe chakula. Tafadhali nipe chakula. Nipe means give me. Nipe simply means giving. Or you can also say nipatie. You can say nipatie chakula. Or nipatie maji. That is right after you have said niko na njaa, and then that is followed by tafadhali nipe chakula. So that would say niko na njaa. All ninahisi njaa. Ninahisi. Hisi means to feel. Ninahisi njaa. Ninahisi njaa. Means that you're feeling hungry. That is, I am feeling hungry. I am feeling hungry. Tafadhali nipe chakula. That would be the most logical thing to say after that. Tafadhali nipe chakula. Tafadhali nipe chakula is please give me food. Tafadhali nipe chakula. Or you can say nipe chakula tafadhali. Give me some food, please. Give me some food, please. Remember, in Swahili, we do have the order of a sentence, and this order of a sentence, it is in the form of the SVO, and the SVO is the subject, the verb, and the object. This is the sentence order, subject, verb, and object, verb, and object. So, for example, you're talking about ninaenda shuleni. That would be the ni, I am the subject. The verb is enda, and then shuleni is the object, wherever you are going to. Ninaenda shuleni, that would be I am going to school. I am going to school. You can also say ninakula, nakula chakula. Ninakula chakula is also a complete sentence because someone is asking you, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then your response would be, I am eating food. I'm eating some food. So therefore you say ninakula chakula. When you say ninakula chakula, this is also in the SVO order because ni, this is the subject, myself, I, and the kula is the verb. Kula means to eat. And then you do have the object. What are you eating? I'm eating some food. You might say ninakula ndizi, that would be I'm eating a banana. Ninakunywa maziwa. Kunywa means to drink. So if someone says ninakunywa maziwa, so that also follows the same arrangement for the subject, verb, object in the sentence structure for a Swahili sentence. And I remember also that we do have what we call the nomino, ngeli za nomino. Ngeli za nomino simply means the order, the order of nouns. So we do have the classes of nouns or the order of nouns. The classes of nouns, we do have about 9 noun classes. Some people do talk about more than 9. But for the purposes of our class, we do learn with these 9 noun classes. The wa class of noun, that is our most popular. The key V class of noun, and the key V class of nouns, we did say that this is for the inanimate objects. For example, I'm talking about a knife. A knife is called kisu. You're cutting something with a knife, so therefore you would say kisu. And if you're talking about the plural of sense of it, you would say visu, visu, kisu, visu. So kisu is in the singular. It starts with the syllable ki, and then visu is in the plural. It starts with the syllable v. So therefore, that falls in the key V class of nouns, the key V class of nouns. It's not difficult. Remember, if you would like to get a copy of our notes, you can simply write to you can write to blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com, blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com. And once you do so, then I will be more than glad to share with you some of these particular notes that we get to use when we are learning Swahili. And of course, when we're learning Swahili, the basic parts of a component of a language is the vowels and the consonants. And we have always said, and we have learned that we have 5 vowels in Swahili. The vowel A, for example, in the word andika. Andika means to write. It means to write. If you're writing something, you would say andika. The vowel A, which is the English letter E, but in Swahili, it's the vowel A. For example, in the word endelea, if you're talking about endelea, it simply means to carry on, to go on, endelea. But if we did say eleza, eleza is also another word with the vowel A. Eleza means to explain. Eleza means to explain. If someone is explaining something, it means eleza. If we are talking about the other vowel, we do say the vowel E, which is the English letter I. For example, in the word inuka, inuka. Inuka means to rise up, but to bend, you'd say inama, inama, inuka. Inama is to rise up, inuka is to rise up, and inama is to bend. Then we do have the 4th vowel, the vowel O, which is the English letter O. For example, in the Swahili word ondoka. If we say ondoka, ondoka simply means to leave. Someone says ondoka sasa, it means leave now. But we have other examples. For example, ogopa. Ogopa means to fear. If someone says ogopa Mungu, they're talking about fear God. If someone says ogopa Mungu peke, it means fear God only or alone. And then you have the last one, which is the vowel U, which is the English letter U. For example, in the word ugua, ugua means to ail. So if someone is ailing from a particular disease, then it means that they are ailing from maybe an ugua, maradhi ya kipindupindu. That would be cholera. Anaugua maradhi ya this and that. So wherever they are ailing from, that is what you would mention in that particular example. So up to that particular point, let me know if you do have a question. If not, I will be more than glad to continue. And apart from that, we do have all the letters of the English alphabet being constituted in the Swahili language, apart from X and Q. So in that list, you realize that X and Q, those are actually missing. And that is therefore the way we still carry on with that. It's not difficult. It's actually very, very easy. And anyone can be able to understand from that particular perspective how we get to use these vowels and the vowels and the consonants in Swahili in that particular regard. Nonetheless, if you do have a question, please ask. I normally do say tafadhali uliza swali. Tafadhali uliza swali simply means please ask a question. Please ask a question. And I would be more than glad to answer your question at any particular juncture. It's very, very important that you ask a question so that you are able to understand even as we proceed. And that is just the way to understand. I always do say that unless you do ask a question, how then will you be able to understand the language? You are able to ask a question and you're able to learn as we go. And that is actually just the way do this particular class. It's very, very important. Nonetheless, I have said that we have many noun classes, which are very, very important. But apart from that, what you can get to understand mostly is also what you do have as a common popular words in Swahili, especially in regards to our bodies. And I'm talking about the parts of our body or the body parts. For the head in Swahili, we normally do say kichwa. Kichwa, that is for the head. If you're talking about your eye, we normally do say jicho for the eye. If you're talking about the nose, we normally do say pua. If you're talking about the mouth, we normally do say mdomo. If you're talking about the ear, we normally do say skio. If you're talking about the neck, we normally do say shingo. And if you're talking about the chest, we normally do say kifua for the chest. And if you're talking about maybe perhaps the stomach, then we would say, if you're talking about the stomach, then that happens to be tumbo. That is tumbo. That is what we refer to as tumbo. If we're talking about the thigh, we normally do say paja, paja for the thigh. If you're talking about the buttock, we would say taco, taco. For the heart, we normally do say rojo for the heart. If you're talking about the waist or the hip, we do say kiuno. If we're talking about the leg, we normally do say mguu. For example, mguu wake unauma sana. That means his or her leg is hurting very much or it's aching very much. And that is simply how you get to express that. Someone might also say alipatwa na mshtuko wa roho. Roho in Swahili, that is the heart. So someone would interpret that as he or she got a heart attack. He or she got a heart attack. And then we also do have common words that are referred to animals, especially domestic animals. For animals, we do have a cat. We call it paka, P-A-K-A for cat. For dog, it's mbwa. For cow, it's ng'ombe. Ng'ombe, you realize it has a special consonant, ng'ombe, and that way it's not difficult really to even understand it. So I was just trying to explain that if you're talking about the different items, sorry, the different animals that we do have, for example, in the domestic case, we do have the cat, we do have the dog, we do have the cow. The cow is known as ng'ombe. The chicken it's known as kuku, Kuku. That is kuku. If you're talking about the horse, you'd actually just say farasi, farasi. If you're talking about the duck, you would say bata for a duck, bata. If you're talking about the lion, you simply say Simba, and now this is into the wild animals. And therefore, I was just saying that if you're talking about these animals, either the domestic animals or the wild animals, then actually you can refer to them in this particular regard. Let me just try to share my screen. And with this, you can see, for example, if we're talking about the lion, we do say Simba. If we're talking about the elephant, we do say Ndovu. If you're talking about, for example, the cheetah, that is known as Chui. For the rhino, we call it Kifaru. For the buffalo, we call it Nyati. For the duck, we call it Bata. And then we also do have the basic commodities or the basic items that we talk about in a day-to-day lifestyle lives. For example, water. Water is an essential part of life. We call it maji. So if someone says nipe maji, they're talking about give me water. If someone says chakula, they're talking about food. If someone says mafuta, they're talking about oil. If someone says nguo, they're talking about cloth. If someone talks about hewa, they're talking about air. If someone is talking about fire, they just really just say moto, moto, moto. That is actually for moto. It's moto, moto. For example, if you're talking about the network, which is a BlackHot fire network, someone would simply just say nyeusi moto moto, because what you realize is that there is no name for fire and there is no name for hot. In the Swahili context, both hot and fire, these are actually referred to by the same names. This is moto, and this is also fire, is also moto. So therefore, if anyone was to tell you that they are talking about BlackHot fire, then BlackHot fire would be nyeusi moto moto, nyeusi moto moto. That is simply how you refer to that as. And you also get to realize that some words in Swahili, any language, we do say that any language is dynamic, and therefore sometimes you get to realize that new words will come up and some other words will actually disappear. Like you would see Language is a dynamic thing. Language is simply just a very, very dynamic thing. And that is why you will find some words will actually come up in a language, some other words will still disappear. But yes, we also do have things like fruit, which is known as tunda. If you're talking about a seat or a chair, we call it kiti. If you're talking about time, we do say wakati all muda. Wakati all muda. And then from that, we jump into the names of popular places. If you're talking about home, we do say nyumbani. So therefore, if someone told you karibu nyumbani, they're saying welcome home, welcome home. You are much welcome. You do say umekaribishwa sana, umekaribishwa sana. And if someone will say umekaribishwa sana nyumbani, it means that you are most welcome and you can come up to just come home. If someone says visit home, they would say tembea nyumbani, because tembea simply means to visit. Tembea it means to visit. So therefore, if someone says tembea nyumbani, then it means someone is simply just asking you to visit home. We shall take a short break. This is Dana Seda with a jam. It's actually a very, very wonderful jam. It's known as Sana Sana. And now we shall jump to it and then we shall continue that. Sana sana bila mambo huwa ndivyo huonekana. Sana sana bila mambo huwa ndivyo hujulikana. Kwa misimu ndio moshi ishara ya moto kataa itumbuka baki mtoto. Sana sana bila mambo huwa ndivyo huonekana. Sana sana bila mambo huwa ndivyo hujulikana. Yes, the most wonderful thing about Swahili songs is that they carry a whole lot of message, and most of them they are composed with medali or proverbs within. For example, that particular one by Dana Seda, "Sana sana sana." Sana means a lot, a lot. And if someone says sana sana, it means often, often. If someone says nimekuona sana, nimekuwa nikikuona sana, it means often. Sana can mean often, or it can mean a lot. But in this particular regard, there is the proverb that he keeps on sharing on that particular song, which is dalili ya mvua ni mawingu. It means if you see the clouds gather, then you know it's about to rain. And in Swahili we do say dalili ya mvua ni mawingu. Dalili ya mvua ni mawingu. There's also another second proverb that he shares on that particular song, and this proverb is lisemwalo lipo na kama halipo laja. So in Swahili we do say that whatever is being said, like from the grapevine, you will find some things that is being spoken about. Most likely, if it's not there, then it's to come. For example, if people are talking about maybe, for example, politically speaking, there would be a referendum for like a constitutional reform. Then people will talk about it, and eventually that will most probably happen. So therefore, lisemwalo lipo na kama halipo basi laja. And yes, we do have medhalis, proverbs in Swahili. This is the words of wisdom from different African communities, especially the Swahili community. That is what we call the methali. Apart from that, we also do have the vitendawili. Vitendawili. What did happen with different cultures? They did pass on knowledge through oral means. So someone would actually just share a proverb, and they pass on the wisdom to the next generation. They could share a vitendawili, which is like a riddle, which is being passed on. Yes, that is exactly a riddle, which is being passed on, knowledge being passed on from one generation to the other generation. And that is exactly how things will work in that regard. But anyhow, let me know how your weekend is coming along. If you would like to engage with us, I would be more than glad to connect with you, and I know how your weekend is coming up. I will be more than glad to know. So yes, we have been learning Swahili for quite a while, and I have always said that there are over 1,500 languages on the African continent, and these languages, most of them, some of them might become archaic or extinct in some years. We do not know. For example, the click sound of the Khoisan people. I am not sure whether we might have that language and how many people can speak that language even within that particular community. I do not know, because there has been foreign influences, and sometimes some languages are overtaken by quote unquote time. So we do say in Swahili, zimepitwa na muda, or like they have not been able to keep up, and that is exactly what does happen with that. But anyhow, let us continue with our class. It's very important. Let's continue, and we were learning about how you refer to different things, and things are things that are even places. So nyumbani, we do say home, we do say nyumbani, which means, for example, if someone says karibu nyumbani simply means welcome home. If someone says ninaenda sokoni, sokoni means the market. Ninaenda sokoni, sokoni means the market. If someone says ninaenda mtoni, mtoni means a river. If someone says ninaenda dukani, duka means a shop. Mto means a river. The forest, we do refer to that as msitu. If we're talking about the village, we normally would say kijiji for a village, and that is simply how you get to express or explain it. If you're talking about the city, we do say jiji. So if it is within the city, we add the syllable ni, and we do say jijini. So the syllable ni is very, very important. It is used after a noun referring to a place, and you use it, the ni, as a suffix for this noun, and it shows that you're talking about the place within the place, all inside the place. For example, shambani, shamba means the farm, but if you say shambani, shambani simply means within the farm. If you're talking about the market, it's soko, but you might say sokoni, sokoni simply means within the market. If you're talking about the library, you would say maktaba, but if you did say maktabani, maktabani is within the library. So that is how you write it down. For example, soko, it means the market. It means the market. But if you do add the suffix ni, the syllable ni, if you do say sokoni, it means within the market or inside the market. If you're talking about the school, you would say shule for school. But if you're talking about inside the school, you would say shuleni. So you take the word shule and add the syllable ni at the end, or as a suffix. So that would be shuleni. If you're talking about nyumba means a house. But if you're talking about inside the house, you would say nyumbani. So nyumba is a house. Nyumba is a house, or home is a house. Nyumba is a house. But if you're talking about within the house or inside the house, you would say nyumbani. Nyumbani is for inside the house. So someone might even say karibu nyumbani, and that would be understood to be you're welcome. So the syllable ni is just a way that you get to explain that you're talking about within the place. So for example, if you're talking about a place, you might say mto is a river, but if someone is getting inside the river, then they would say mtoni. They would say mtoni. So therefore, they would add the syllable ni as a suffix, and therefore that would be mtoni. Mtoni to mean within or inside, inside the river, inside the river. So for all the nouns that you do have referring to places, when you add the ni, the syllable ni at the end, for example, shuleni, nyumbani, mtoni, msituni, whatever you have as a noun referring to a place, you do add the syllable ni at the end of it as a suffix, then it means that you're talking about within that place or inside that particular place. Like I did say, a library, we call it maktaba, library. We call it maktaba, maktaba. So if you're talking about inside the library, then you would say maktabani, maktabani. We do have what you call the living room. The living room, we call it sebuleni, living room. That is inside the living room. So we would call it maktabani. We would actually call it maktabani. Sorry, sebuleni. That is simply inside the library. So if someone says tuko na mkutano maktabani, it simply means that you have a meeting inside the library. If someone says tuko na mkutano sokoni, it means that they do have a meeting inside the market. That is how you explain that you're having a meeting, maybe perhaps within a place. So I think we might continue in our next session, but for now, it will be just wonderful to end it there. In case you do have a question, feel free to email blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com, and I'll be more than glad to respond. So let me just type it down: blackhotfireafrica@gmail.com. At gmail.com.